many businesses run out of cash while the warehouse still looks full? That is the quiet danger of inventory. Welcome back to the Money Master HQ podcast. I am Zayn, your AI co-host. Today I am joined by Shihan Sharif, founder and CEO of Money Master HQ, four-time Amazon best-selling author, international award-winning author, and a finance leader who has spent more than 20 years helping businesses turn messy numbers into better decisions. Shihan, when a business owner is preparing for a peak season, especially with tariffs, supplier uncertainty, and early customer buying patterns in the background, how should they reforecast inventory purchases before those purchases start choking cash flow?
Hi Zain. This is one of those areas where business owners feel safe because they can physically see the stock. But from a finance point of view, inventory is cash that has changed costume. It's just a different form of an asset. It used to sit in the bank. Now it sits on a shelf waiting for the customer to convert it back into cash through sales. That delay is where the pressure starts. Before peak demand, owners think, let me buy early so I do not miss sales. They can be correct, but if the forecast is lazy, the business does not just buy stock. It actually buys stress. It buys storage cost, supplier pressure, and a possible cash gap before the sales actually arrive.
The latest Census Bureau data gives that point some weight. Manufacturers and trade inventories in the United States were estimated at $2.7 trillion at the end of March, while the inventory to sales ratio was 1.32. So inventory is not a side issue. It is a major cash flow line. Where should an owner start the reforecast?
Yeah, start with cash, not sales. Most owners begin with the question, how much can we sell? That is only half the question, I would say. The better question instead is, how much can we afford to buy, hold, and finance before the cash comes back? You see the change? That changes the quality of the decision. I would break it into three numbers. First, expected demand. Second, gross margin after all landed costs, knowing that fully landed cost is important. And third, cash recovery time. The third number is the one people generally ignore. If you buy inventory today and sell it in 6 weeks, when do you actually see the cash? If you sell through credit, wholesale, marketplaces, distributors, or slow receivables, the cash comes in significantly later. And if you paid the supplier upfront, your business is financing this entire gap. That is where a profitable sale can still create a cash problem.
So the stockroom can look healthy while the bank balance looks like it skipped breakfast. That is my one finance joke for today. But seriously, what would you ask the team to update in the forecast?
Well, I would ask for a rolling weekly forecast, not a monthly guess. Peak season does not wait for month-end reporting. Instead, the reforecast should show opening cash, committed purchase orders, expected supply payments, inbound inventory dates, expected sales, expected collections, payroll, rent, tax, loan payments, and a minimum cash buffer. In short, it should include every possible cash movement as possible. Then I would run 3 scenarios. That is base case, slow sales case, delayed supply case. The slow sales case is important because early buying patterns can mislead you. The National Retail Federation reported that 67% of back-to-school shoppers had already started purchasing by early July, usually during this period. That tells you demand can pull forward. If customers buy earlier than usual, the normal seasonal curve changes. You may think July will be strong because last year July was strong. But if customers already bought in, let's say, April, that stock may not move at the same speed later. That is why the reforecast cannot just copy last year.
And this year, tariffs and price concerns are changing behavior too. How do you stop tariff-driven buying from becoming panic buying?
You separate strategic buying from emotional buying. Strategic buying starts with unit economics. What is the landed cost after duty, freight, insurance, which has now significantly gone up, storage, wastage, discounting, and financing? If the landed cost goes up, as is the case more recently, your margin may be thinner than you think. Then you ask whether customers will accept the new price. If they will not, you may be locking cash into inventory that needs discounting later. Modern retail showed several consumer brands increasing inventory ahead of tariff changes with working capital tied up as a result. One dental tech founder moved from the usual 8 to 10 weeks of inventory to about 5 months. Another business ordered 3.5 times its typical inventory volumes in January, then placed another order 3 times larger than its usual monthly order in May. That may protect supply, but it also turns cash into stock very quickly. Marketing gets delayed, hiring gets delayed, and supplier payments become tense. That is the hidden cost that most business owners and finance teams miss.
What about business owners who say, if I do not buy now, I may stock out and lose the season?
Yeah, great question, Zayn. That is a real risk indeed. I would not dismiss it. But the answer is not always to buy everything now. The answer is to rank inventory by cash priority. I would create 3 buckets. Bucket 1 is must-have stock. These are fast-moving products with strong margin, clear demand, and reliable sell-through. This comes from experience. So protect those. Bucket 2 is flexible stock, where you can split orders, delay shipment, substitute suppliers, or negotiate partial deliveries. There is more flexibility here. And bucket 3 is ego stock. Slow movers, nice to have lines, speculative items, or products the owner likes more than the customer does. Most owners have a few of them, don't they? Cut those hard. I have seen businesses preserve cash simply by admitting that not every product deserves the same working capital. That is a boardroom discipline. Not every line item gets equal protection, end of the day.
The Federal Reserve's Small Business Credit Survey also makes the cash point practical. In the 2025 Employer Firms Report, 56% of firms that sought financing said they needed it for operating expenses, and 51% cited uneven cash flows as a challenge. So if inventory planning is wrong, financing becomes a reaction. What supplier moves help before it reaches that stage?
Yeah, 3 supplier moves. First, negotiate payment timing before you negotiate price. A 5% discount is useful, but 60-day terms can be more valuable if cash is tight. Second, ask for staggered delivery so the entire order does not land in one batch unless you really need them all together, which most likely is not the case. Third, link reorders to sell-through triggers. Do not reorder because the calendar says so. Reorder because the data says stock is moving at the right speed and the right margin. That is where finance and operations must talk weekly, not monthly, not after the season, during the season. If sales through is slower than forecast, reduce your purchase orders early. If a fast-moving item is outperforming, then protect it.
Give us the practical close. If an owner has 30 minutes today, what should they do?
More likely they have more time than that, but if it's just 30 minutes, open the cash flow forecast and add inventory commitments line by line. Not one big number, supplier by supplier, product category by product category. Then ask 4 quick questions. What must we buy now? What must we delay? What can we split? And what should we stop buying until the data proves demand? That is the discipline. Peak season rewards preparation, but it punishes blind preparation. You do not want to win sales and lose liquidity. Reforecast now, protect cash before the pressure arrives, and make inventory earn its place in the business. Again, Finance Simplified, Growth Amplified. I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next.